Hello everybody, and welcome back to Physic's Den. I am so glad to be here once again doing a video for you guys because it's been really shitty recently and I'm so sorry about all the delays and all that kind of rubbish. I'm no longer going to be promising anything because I don't want to say that I'm going to be back up and running if I'm not going to be back up and running. Seems like there are problems coming from left, right and centre. Anyway, regardless of that, please ignore these tufts of hair that just won't go away. You probably wouldn't have seen them if I hadn't have mentioned that. So hopefully that's not backfired. Anyway, moving on. Today I'm going to be doing another Let's Talk because I love these videos. I really do. Because my whole reason for wanting to do these videos was so that I can create more than just content for you guys. We can have a place of discussion, we can share things and I can share things, you know. I can take suggestions and then I can share the suggestions and I really love that, and I'm so grateful to those fans who have commented and talked about your favourite films and your favourite music. I'm just so pleased with the way that this channel is going. I'm really surprised though, last night putting a title as Onision is addicted to hentai and it didn't get many views, so maybe Onision as a keyword has finally being sucked out of the YouTube algorithm, which is a big shame for me, but probably not for a lot of you fans that are sick of hearing about him. I'm just worried for my channel, guys. I'm honestly, I don't know what to do. I really want to do my kind of shit. I do, and I enjoy it, and I know you guys enjoy my kind of shit, but it's really difficult to get new people to come along and join our bandwagon, but I will try my best. So anyway, enough faffing, on with the intro. Okay, so as I said, we're doing a Let's Talk today. First section is going to be your suggestions give me erections. That rhymed in so many ways I didn't think it was going to, but yes, crass title, I know, but my channel, hey ho. So this section will be about the suggestions that you guys have given me, and I'm going to share them out with the rest of the world so you can hear about it too, because some of the stuff you guys were showing me was just fucking A. I haven't had a look at any of the films that have been suggested to me yet, because it's a bit easier to check out music than it is to check out films. I have been suggested a film that I'm really interested in watching. That's called Betty Blue. We'll get into that later. So, after this section, we will have a section on spooky films, because last night I indulged myself into some really interesting films. I won't spoil anything just now, we'll talk about that later. After this, I'm going to be talking about another couple of films, and then finally there's a very big topic that I want to talk about, and I want to see if you guys are interested in it or have any thoughts on it, because I've talked about mental health before on this channel, and it seems that a lot of you guys are either interested in it or have dealt with it yourselves in any which way, you know what I mean? So, let's get on with this. Right. So as if by magic, I am suddenly wearing a roll neck. Fantastic stuff. It is basically day 2. I had to finish recording last night because I went to see the new It film, and I have to say I really thoroughly enjoyed it, and I will be talking about that in my spooky films section. But for now, let us take a look at some of the suggestions that I was given by you guys. So, first we have from Marnie Zavaleta. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, I apologise if I'm not. I was suggested by her to listen to Worst Case Scenario by a band called Deus. I've got to say, I was absolutely sucked in straight away. You can tell that this band has influences from so many different places. So basically, they're an experimental rock band that simply oozing with influence. I mean, you can hear a lot of punk influence, a lot of like post-hardcore stuff. You can hear a bit of jazz. There's a lot of lovely double bass work. You can also hear from Deus that it's bands like that very much inspired the post-rock scene that we have today. Bands like Mogwai, bands like Slint. I wouldn't so much say Slint as post-rock, but you know what I mean, noise rock, that kind of thing. So I really enjoyed that, so thank you so much for that suggestion. You've also suggested to me to watch the film Betty Blue. I will get around to that, trust me, I will, because if your suggestions of music is anything like your suggestions of films, then I should find it absolutely fantastic. So, secondly, we have another suggestion. This is coming from a girl called Pagan Heart, who has been watching my videos for a long time now. She's very interactive with my videos, and I appreciate that so much. Thank you simply for that, first of all. As well as that, you gave me the suggestion to listen to a Canadian singer-songwriter called Lights. Now, this was some really wonderful stuff. I mean, this girl is an incredible vocalist. I was really blown away by her vocals. I was listening to a track called Savage. I recommend you guys go and check it out. This is coming from their latest album called Skin and Earth. So, Light does a lot of stuff, from acoustic to some more like electro-poppy kind of stuff, but it seems like there's a wide range of different sounds going on, and I really enjoyed it. So thank you so much, guys, for that. Those are my suggestions for today. I've had more suggestions, but I'm only going to be able to fit a couple into each video. So my suggestion for you guys today is to check out an artist called Moderat. Now, Moderat is comprised of two artists, which is Mode Selector and Apparat. That's how they got the name Moderat. I think the name Moderat's really cool. I think the name Mode Selector's really cool. I first started listening to Mode Selector many years ago. They're an electro group that do some really great stuff. It ranges from techno to kind of electro-y stuff, but really fantastic. If you were to check out any albums, I'd go for Monkey Town or Happy Birthday. That's a great one. But Moderat has a very different tone. You can very much hear the influence that comes from both sides of Mode Selector and Apparat. It's just wonderful music. But this is when I get peed off with people that say that electronic music isn't real music. It's not real. You can't have emotional stuff. Blah 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 blah. Rubbish. Absolute crap. Shut the fuck up. It's completely not true at all. Electronic music can be absolutely heart-wrenchingly emotional. In terms of Moderat, their first album was very deep. I mean, it goes into some incredibly minor tones, and I absolutely loved it. I loved it to pieces. I really did. So their albums are simply named 1, 2 and 3. Again, this is following a similar pattern to some of the other artists I've been talking about. They very much change their sound from album to album to album. Their first album is pretty much stripped clean of vocals, other than some of their hip-hoppy stuff. It has got a lot more heavy, bass-driven, kick-drum-driven, four-to-the-floor kind of stuff, which I really like. There's a particular track on their first album called Rusty Nails. I will put a link to it in the description. It follows a similar sound to kind of two-step, hyperdub, like Burial, that kind of stuff. Really nice, absolutely fantastic, and very emotional, with just absolutely wonderful vocals. So as the second album came out, vocals started becoming a much bigger part in the group, and then the third album came out and it got a bit softer and a bit softer, with more and more vocals. So that's fine. That gives it a really broad range of sound through each of the albums. I now seem to be talking about them for a long time because I would happily do so. Moderat are absolutely fantastic, there's no denying that. So please check them out if you get a chance. Now, moving on to some spooktacular films. So the other night, I thought I'd watch a couple of horror films because it had been a while since I'd done so. I've mainly been playing horror games, so it was interesting to see the difference. So I did a bit of research looking at what was good at the moment, recent horror films that people really appreciate and respect. It came down to a choice of two. So the first film was called The Witch. I really appreciate this film because they tried to do something different, they took a risk, and I think it worked. The film has been highly revered by a lot of people. The film itself is incredibly ambiguous in its nature. It is set in 17th century New England and is based heavily upon folklore. The main gist of the plot is that a family that was living in a plantation was kicked out because of differing beliefs in the New Testament. So because of this, they had to move to their own location to try and grow their own crops, but they were surrounded by this incredibly dangerous and mysterious wilderness. As they tried to grow their crops, they got nothing but rot, nothing would grow, and it seemed like there was something not quite right about this place. Now, that's all I'm going to tell you on this one. The film goes on and develops into this story. It's so interesting the way the family develops. It's like a character arc, but it's like a family arc, if you see what I mean. And it's really interesting to see how everyone changes because of the place that they're in. And it is very, that you can take a lot of different meanings from parts of this film. There's a lot of symbolic stuff and that kind of thing. So if you're into that kind of stuff, go check it out. It is very different, and I really appreciated that. I think a lot of people disliked it because of that. Anyway, I actually had to turn on subtitles, however, because it does have a lot of ye olde English and a lot of religious jargon and that kind of stuff. Now, the film was a massive box office success, raking in $40 million with a budget of only $4. That makes a $36 million profit. I bet they were pleased with that one. Anyway, moving on. Now, the second film I watched is called Inside. This one is going out to Marnie Zavaleta. I don't know if you've already seen this before, but this is another French horror film that is just relentless. It does not stop. If you're not into slasher or home invasion films, I'd avoid this one. I think the film was either banned or had to have a lot of it cut out in certain countries because it is relentlessly violent. The whole plot of the film is that a woman was in a car crash with her husband and was left on her own, pregnant with their child. It's really sad instantly from the start of the film. Now, this is what makes the home invasion side of it so much worse, because it is a defenseless pregnant woman, and the lady that's trying to get in is trying to take the baby from her, literally trying to rip the baby from within her. Now, this film, it is non-stop absolute terror. But it was done in a very, very good way. I think the way they used the soundtrack and sound effects was absolutely fantastic. But it is an absolute gore fest. Non-stop violence, scissors, needles, every last thing you can imagine. It's non-stop terror, but I found it absolutely fantastic. I think there's an English dubbed version, but that's not my kind of thing. If I'm going to watch a film from another country, I want to watch it in their language with subtitles. So, last night, I went to see the remake of It. This is, for those of you that don't know, It is a novel by Stephen King that was adapted into a series back in the 80s and has now been remade. It is based around a town where kids keep going missing, and it's because of Well, it's because of it. I loved it so much because it was one of the classic kind of horror films where it's based around a group of kids as opposed to adults. And because they're a group of kids, it completely changes the tone of the film. I thought the effects were fantastic. The actor that played Pennywise did an incredible job. He was a very, very scary clown indeed. A lot of the effects were absolutely fantastic. A lot of the jump scares were absolutely fantastic. If you're looking for a very dark and kind of atmospheric film, it's probably not the best for you. It is more of it's kind of a soft horror film, but the jump scares are still terrifying, and there's some really it's a fantastic story. It's based on, this clown Pennywise uses these children's fears, and it uses that to draw them in because it takes in fear. But I don't know who Pennywise is yet. I don't understand what he is or how he is, and I think we find that out within chapter 2, because it is going to be there will be several parts to it. I'm not sure if it will be a 2-parter or a 3-parter like the original. So that is that. I really hope you don't mind me mentioning your name. I got a comment from someone called One More Snotty YouTube Opinion, which I think is a really, really funny name, and it was kind of ironic because the comment that I was left was anything but One More Snotty YouTube Opinion. It was in fact an incredibly fantastic opinion that I very much agree with. The reason why I'm bringing up your name is because you mentioned Blade Runner. You didn't just mention Blade Runner, but you mentioned the soundtrack to Blade Runner. Now, in terms of films, Blade Runner is one of my favourites. It will always be one of my favourites. I think that film was so ahead of its time. The cinematography, it was just stunning, absolutely stunning. The way they use effects, I mean, that film really does look ahead of its time. It absolutely does. It's got some incredible twists, a lot of ambiguous themes as well, because there's a lot of questions, a lot of unanswered questions, and it'll be really interesting to see the way the story pans out in the new film, which I really want to go and see. One More Snotty YouTube Opinion also mentioned Requiem for a Dream, which again is one of my all-time favourite films. I think it is absolutely fantastic, just as much as it is purely devastating. That film has no happy endings. It is relentlessly just a very powerful film, and that is all helped massively by Clint Mansell that did the soundtrack. I think every one of you has probably heard the track Lux Eterna. You may not know it by name, but you would have heard it. Just before I wrap up the show, I want to give a quick shout out to Planet C. This guy does a lot of gameplay videos. He commented on one of my videos when I only had just over 100 subscribers. He was asking for tips on how to do good commentary for gaming videos. I checked out his channel at the moment. He's nearly at 200 subscribers. Please, for me, go check out his channel. See what he's all about, because he has some fantastic content. His gaming videos are just brilliant. He was doing one which was the Ark Survival Evolved, or whatever it's called. It's like a survival game. He was doing the kind of counting with Count from Sesame Street thing, mixed in with the gaming, which was really funny, really good stuff. So please, Planet C, go check him out. Link to his channel will be in the description, and you should be able to see right here his name and logo. So that is going to be everything today. I did say at the start that I was going to be talking about the state of medicine today, but that is a big topic. So I'm going to save that for tomorrow's video, and we'll make it a 2-parter. I hope you don't mind on that one, and I hope you've enjoyed what I have shown you today. Check out Moderat, absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for your suggestions, but don't let them stop coming, please. Suggest more films, suggest more music. I would love to hear it, and I would love to see it. So Thank you so much for watching, guys. Thank you so much for your suggestions, and thank you so much for being the most wonderful group of fans a YouTuber could ever want. Cheers, guys. I will see you in the next one.